Sri Guru Sri Jita Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitangscha Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karuti Bhachalam Pangolang Hayate Girim Yat Kripatamahang Vande Sri Gurun Dinatarinam Nindantam Pulakot Korena Bikasam Nipa Prasunachtivim Prodrikritva Bujadvayam Hari Hari Ituchai Vedantam Muhu Nrityantam Drutamasru Nirjara Chai Sinchantam Urvitalam Gayantam Nija Parasadai Parivratam Sri Gaura Chandram Nama Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Hemavadivyachta Visundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Jai Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Avirbhav Mahamahotsavati Ki Jai. So, in the Abhideya slok, the second sloka of the Srimad Bhagavatam, says Dharmak Projita Kaita Botra Paramo Nirmat Saranam Satam. It speaks of Nirmat Sarja, means being non-envious of the devotees. That's in the one sense, and if we invert that, it means to sing the praise of the devotees. But on the point of being non-envious of them, dismissive of them, we find Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Bhaktivinod Thakur, that they do not recognize, for example, Mirabai, who's reputed to be a great devotee of Krishna in India. And as Guru Maharaj would sometimes say, in her songs, mad in praise of Krishna. But why is she dismissed by Guru Maharaj, Gurudev, Bhaktivinod Thakur? No recognition of the devotee of Krishna, meaning in the ultimate sense Srimati Radharani, and by extension her servitors. So to focus on Krishna exclusively to the exclusion of his devotees is not considered devotion proper. So when we're told about the three classes of devotees, the third class, second class, third class, first, the Kanishta Adhikari sees the deity and not the devotee, puts all their emphasis on the deity and not the devotee. And Guru Maharaj will say in another place, and with regard to the deity, Krishna is there. He's saying, but what is our capacity to appreciate the presence of Krishna? So the scripture will be of more, the Shastra will be of more value, right? And the devotee interpreter of the scripture will be of more value to us, to realize more substantially Krishna, right? So, and we see in the Chaitanya Charitamritam that Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami tells the story of when his brother-in-law was worshipping the deity, and the great devotee of Nityananda Prabhu, Meena Ketanaram, came. And he's like, well, I'm worshipping the deity. He ignored him. In the principle, like, well, I'm dealing with the deity. That's superior. And then this devotee shows up. But Guru Maharaj said the proper response in that situation should have been, that with the permission of the deity, he goes to attend to the devotee. So we hear that Meenaketana Ram, who's one of those delightfully eccentric followers of Nityananda Prabhu, he carries a flute around. He broke his flute in anger because, not for his own ego, but he knows Nityananda is my everything. Everyone knows, I'm made of the mercy of the lotus feet of Nitai, and by dismissing me, he is indirectly diminishing the prestige of Nityananda Prabhu. So he became very angry, broke his flute, and went away. Right? And then Kaviraj Goswami he tells his brother-in-law, he said, there's in Nyai, the study of logic, there are different faults. One is Ardha Kukiya Nyai, which means the fault of half a hen, where one part of the hen eats, the other part delivers the egg. So he's saying, you like the part that delivers the egg and you dismiss the other part. So you say ostensibly that you are a devotee of Mahaprabhu, but you don't show proper regard for Nityananda Prabhu. Therefore, your position is not tenable, it's not substantial. And over this point, remember, this is the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamritam. So from one point of view, you think like, well, it's an interesting story. Why does he include this there if it is not something that is very significant? And so, in essence, what he's saying is, the devotee occupies the superior position. And mysteriously, that is the open secret of Krishna consciousness, is that this is a religion, so to speak, where the devotee of God occupies a higher position than he. And if anyone doubts that, they need look no further than the lotus feet of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, whose Krishna himself descended to experience devotion of the Supreme Servitor Srimati Radharani, and to declare to everyone that this position, take it from me. He's the only person who can really assert this with authority, right? Being that he's Govinda Maripurisham Tamaham Bhajami. And so Krishna is saying, the position of a devotee is more relishable than being the supreme enjoyer. That's astonishing, right? So Kaviraj Goswami, and what is this critical point? That's why this is at the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamritam. It's not just anecdotally interesting or something to think about from time to time. It's included there because it's pivotal. So he's saying, when he chastised his brother-in-law that you don't understand the superior position of the devotee, therefore your so-called devotion is in question, it's faulty. And he says, and then his brother-in-law, after some time there, fell down. Says something like sarvanash, like means he was just destroyed, ruined for offenses to that devotee. Such a great devotee. And then what does Kaviraj Goswami tell us? That at this time, Nityananda Prabhu came to him. The Preme Matta Nityananda Kripa Avatar. The Kripa Avatar, Nityananda Prabhu. Like being very pleased with this realization, understanding, position asserted by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Like yes, someone who understands this is the qualified person to be the medium for the expression of this supreme literature, Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam. So Nityananda Prabhu expressed his total pleasure with him and inundated him with divine mercy. And through this, what are we told? He was given entrance into Vrindavan. Right? So by inference, that means Vrindavan is that world where it's the Krishna world, but where the devotees are in the superior position. I remember just hearing so many years ago, there was some Srila Prabhupada on a walk and devotees asking questions, and he sort of stunned everyone when he said that Mother Yashoda was greater than Krishna. But Krishna will be happy to hear that. All the devotees will be happy to hear that. Mother Yashoda may not. She doesn't care for all these things. It's, her son, she's his mother, all these things about his divinity, vicious rumors from her point of view. Right? Just her love and affection eclipses Aishwarya Gyan, the understanding the majestic aspect of Krishna. And we hear in the prayers of Kunti, Gopya dade tvai kritaga sitamatavad damatavad yate dushashu kalilanjana sambramaksham. The Kunti is saying, she finds this vision intoxicating that Krishna, who fear personified, is afraid of Krishna. He's running from his mother and tears are coming down and all the mascara, the kajal, and they're streaming on his lotus face, but enhancing his beauty, and he's running from her, and Mother Yashoda is running after him with a stick, like a branch from a tree, to punish Krishna for being naughty. And she's saying like, what kind of religion is this? What kind of beautiful vision of divinity is that? So whenever he is given the opportunity, Krishna is always asserting the supremacy of the position of the devotee. And that famous Adi Purana sloka, there's something, but Bhaktanam Bhakti, where he's saying, those who say they are my devotees, back to the Mirabai, who say they are my devotees directly, they're not my real devotees. But those who are devotees of my devotees, they are my real devotees. That comes from Krishna. Right? So he's always wanting to assert the supremacy of the position of the devotee, because ahang bhakta paradino hyasvan tantra eva dvija sarubhir bhakta hridayo bhaktar bhakta janapriya. Saying, although in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, I'm declared as swarat, janmadyasya tonvayat itaratas cha arteshu abhigya swarat. He's completely independent. As Guru Maharaj would say in Hegelian terms, reality is for itself and by itself. But Krishna says, but, however, in the presence of devotion, I lose myself. I become subordinate to that devotee. Such is the power of devotion. Sri Krishna Karshini Chasa, according to Srila Rupa Goswami, saying, what is the power of Krishna Bhakti? That all attractive Krishna is irresistibly drawn in attraction to even a drop of devotion in the heart of the divine servitor. It brings Krishna under their control. Right? And so Srila Narottam Thakur says, Asraya loya bhaje tare nahi tyaje something, mare akaran, sub mare akaran. So don't try to go to Krishna directly. Saying, but if you take shelter of the devotee of Krishna, then your position is guaranteed. In other words, he's saying, we could be dismissed so easily, but if you take shelter, the asraya vigraha, how we understand Guru, if you take shelter of that devotee, then your position is guaranteed. So we will see, like in the Pranam of Srila Govinda Maharaj, composed by Srila Guru Maharaj, he says, Gurva Bhista Suparakam Guru Ganai Ashisha Shambhushitam, that he not only fulfilled all the desires of his Gurudev, but he has the full blessings and appreciation of all of his God brothers. And we see Guru Maharaj in his prayers to Bhaktivinod Thakur, for example, he's thinking, if I want to capture the heart, the love and affection of Srila Saraswati Thakur in a substantial way, so my strategy will be to praise Bhaktivinod Thakur, who is his everything. If I can do that, this is the ascharya principle. If I do that, then automatically he's achieved. So we see in a similar way, Srila Acharya Maharaj, he heard from Srila Gurudev, as one example, that Guru Maharaj had this dream, wish, divine seva desire that Gaur and Nityananda would play in Govinda Kunda. Just that Guru Maharaj is thinking of those kind of things is something to consider. But that's his idea of fun. Is that Gaur and Nitai, they will play in the waters of Govinda Kunda. And some of these wishes of Srila Guru Maharaj, they were there for years, for decades, and one by one Srila Gurudev was fulfilling them, but this particular one remained unfulfilled. Right? But he might express that from time to time. Oh, Srila Guru Maharaj, he wanted, but I was unable to do this for him, or So Srila Acharya Maharaj, seeing that this is something that was dear to the heart of Srila Gurudev, and of course Srila Guru Maharaj, if I can do this service to Srila Gurudev, because Srila Gurudev, his mission is the promotion of Srila Guru Maharaj. His mission is to extend Guru Maharaj's Susiddhanta worldwide, and to fulfill all the desires of Srila Guru Maharaj related to divine service. So Acharya Maharaj is saying, if I can do that, then Srila Gurudev will be very pleased with me, and of course Srila Guru Maharaj in the background. So it seemed like an impossible thing to do. Like at other times Srila Gurudev would say about Acharya Maharaj, he's an impossible man. But the impossible man does impossible things. And you may remember it. So they are draining Govinda Kunda, right? Which in itself was extraordinary. But because they want to put a foundation there to build a temple, and Giriraj Govardhan will be there, and now Mahaprabhu will go and have jal-krida, divine water play. So all the Govinda Kunda is draining, but the very center of Govinda Kunda, where they need to establish the foundation, that's not draining. And so they send this crew of devotees, and I remember Jagadananda Prabhu particularly, because in his Purv ashram, previously, he was what they call a roughneck, where these men, they go where they're digging oil wells, and they take that big round, and that means they're ready to get down and dirty and do things that no other people can do. And it requires a lot of physical strength, determination, and willingness to get down and dirty, so to speak. So Jagadananda Prabhu is in there, and they're trying to take out all the water, and they're just like sliding in mud, and somehow it just won't happen. And everyone has an idea, like how to do this, as devotees are wont to express, right? Everyone has some idea, like how it could be done. And it's not being done. It's not happening. And unless you do this, they can't put the foundation, and no temple, no water sports. And so the mind of Srila Gurudev in his heart, he starts thinking about the pastimes of the churning of the Kir Sagar, the milk ocean, right? Where you have, and they show here in Thailand and Cambodia and other places, the gods and the asuras and the devotees, the gods and the demons, they're trying to churn the milk ocean to generate nectar, amrita, that a drop of which will make you immortal, or so they think. And they're having problems. So this gives some insight how Srila Gurudev sees things. Like, he's seeing this. He comes out every day and sees this scene. And what does it remind him of? The churning of the milk ocean. But that's where he finds the solution. So what was the solution there? Is the Kurma avatar. Right? And this famous sloka that comes in the last chapter of the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam that begins with Prishte Brahmyaramanda Mandara Giri Grabhagya Kanduyana Nidralo Kamatakrite, etc. That the Kurma avatar appears as a tortoise, and his situation is such, his divine play is, he has an itch on his back, and aprakrita lila means he can't reach it. Who's omnipotent, whose arms can extend anantically, unlimitedly, he can't scratch his own back. That allows for service. So they put the Mandara hill on his back, mountain, and take Vasuki, these giant serpent, wrap him around there like a churning rod, and you have on one side the devas, the other side the asuras, and like using the Mandara mountain as a churning rod, it's relieving the itch on the back of the Kurma avatar. And churning the milk ocean, and the poisons going out, drunk by Mahadev, Nilkant Shiva, and the moon appears from there because Krishna comes in the Chandra Banksha. Lakshmi Devi comes out, Airavata, Indra's elephant, Surabhi, so many things. And in that, when he's getting relief from the itching, he breathes out like, ah. And the Vedas are being manifest from his breathing. And in the Bhagavatam it says, and that breathing, when you go to an ocean, we all know when you're on the shore of an ocean, it's kind of mystical. That it's very hypnotic, mesmerizing, and we're told that's like the breathing of the Kurma avatar, the coming and going of the waves of the ocean. And Gurudev once told me, and there are more mystical implications from all of this, and it said, and that those winds are still blowing to this day, but that's how they're managed to churn the ocean of nectar. So Gurudev tells Acharya Maharaj, and he says, here is what we will do. He said, have Bhudev Prabhu, the pujari, the sevak for the deities, take some paramanna, right? And there's the deity Varaha, Lakshmi Varaha, the Shalagram, and offer this paramanam, sweet rice, to the deity, and chant this mantra, Prishte Brahmyaramanda Mandaragiri Gravagya Kanduyana. So they do that, and mysteriously, mystically, they're able to empty Govinda Kunda and establish the foundation. And then Acharya Maharaj did all the rest, built the temple, and then refilled Govinda Kunda with water, to which Gurudev got the inspiration to compose arati. And he took got some inspiration from the Garga Sangita, and said that sometimes fortunate souls, when they bathe in the waters of Govinda Kunda, some of that water will enter their mouths, and they will taste that milk that bathes the divine form of Govinda when Indra and his elephant bathed Govinda, and he got the name Govinda. So he wrote that in his prayer. Sometimes fortunate souls will get this opportunity. So then Acharya Maharaj assembled all the devotees, went and got Mahaprabhu, put Mahaprabhu on a palanquin, took Mahaprabhu over on it's like a swan boat, right? A boat.
It was just rafts.
Oh, raft.
That sunk. Remember
Well, I'm getting to that part, but Mahaprabhu didn't sink. Right. So he was on, So Acharya Maharaj takes Gurudev and Mahaprabhu out to the mandir that's now in the center of Govinda Kunda. Then other devotees are coming. I remember particularly Malati Priya, who's, as she's going down, fully sarried and everything, and saying, "I cannot swim." So there's so many devotees wanted to go, they get on the boat and the boat sinks. And there are these ladies, and she was one, saying, "I cannot swim," and they're going on the water. Then devotees jump in and rescue them. It was a big drama. But then no one drowned, everything is happily ever after. But then, so Gurudev, they have a little arati for Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu gets back on the boat. He went around Govinda Kunda this way. Then afterwards, he comes back to the samadhi of Srila Guru Maharaj, where that deity of Mahaprabhu resides. And I was standing next to Gurudev, and Acharya Maharaj there, and Gurudev said to Guru Maharaj in almost like conversationally, like he was actually talking to Guru Maharaj. And he said, "Your divine grace's wish has been fulfilled." And turned to Acharya Maharaj, who got, we shall say, the lion's share of the credit for satisfying this desire of Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Gurudev. It was a very beautiful moment. And Acharya Maharaj, he's not one seeking recognition or praise, but it's almost inescapable when you have a super servitor like that. So many times, I remember, in the Pranam, I had the opportunity to render that in English, but one word that I didn't give proper attention to was nirjarasya, which means like with waterfall-like intensity, which should have been included there. And anyone who knows Acharya Maharaj knows this waterfall-like intensity is something that you can understand, describes him and his approach to seva, to preaching, and so many things. And he would, when others are coming to stay with Gurudev and all, Acharya Maharaj would come sometimes for like 15 minutes, or Gurudev he waits, comes out, does his seva, exchange with Gurudev, might have taken a little prasadam along the way, and then he's off to do the next seva, which was building temples, expanding the Chaitanya Saraswat Math, and now building more devotee quarters. Once, we know Gurudev has this wry, ironic sense of humor. So he's once telling devotees, right there, and he says, "I know that Acharya Maharaj, he's stealing money from me." And this one devotee jumps up and goes, "Give your order and I will go and kill him now." And Gurudev, "Prabhu, not necessary to kill." he said, because, why he is doing this, he said, because he wants to build a temple for me, for my glorification in Bamunpara. But he knows I won't approve that. I cannot approve that he'll build a temple for me. So secretly, he's taking funds, but Gurudev introduced that by saying, he's stealing money from me. But it was his sense of humor. But he's saying, so he's taking those funds and setting them aside. And what is he doing with them? He's building this beautiful 9-dome temple. It rivals the Chaitanya Saraswat Mat in Navadvip. And it's almost a replica in size and beauty. And he did that for the glorification of his Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. Where that comes from is Mahaprabhu and Ishvara Puri. It's in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, where he's saying how you should consider the birthplace of your Guru sacred. And Mahaprabhu took some dust, earth from Ishvara Puri's birthplace. And since that time, we've all followed that example. But here, so Gurudev made the beautiful temple and deities Gopinath and Hapania for Srila Guru Maharaj. And Acharya Maharaj there. Who was installed there? Do you know?
Radha Gopinath.
No, but in Bamunpara.
Yeah,
Oh.
Radha Gopinath from Gurudev's family.
Uh-huh.
Those deities, and then Mahaprabhu was added.
There you go. So Gurudev's family deity is of Radha Gopinath. And that reminds me of, on this Gopinath theme. So I was at Howrah Station once, and you have to buy a ticket by a certain time. Right? It was 3:00 or something. And we're waiting in line, and the clock strikes 3, and myself and this other Bengali man I'm telling you to, the man shuts the window and starts laughing at us. And I lost my composure. Let's call it that. I lost my composure. And started saying uncomposed things. And I turned to that man, because we're sort of like friends, I go like, how, he's laughing that we now have to suffer. And he's saying, Bengali peoples, and he told, you come with me, and we get on the train and we go there. And so we're there inside. And he says, so we're now writing, and he said, I have one I'm about to get married, and shows me a picture of fiancé. And he says, but we have one family deity who's been there for 500 years. And I'm looking for who we should give that deity. We cannot continue that. He shows me pictures. There's a temple, everything, beautiful deities, 500 years old. Who knows their whole history? And he's asking me. And I'm thinking, I just heard Gurudev say about Srila Acharya Maharaj. He said in football, you give the ball to the man who's got I don't know whether they call it the hot foot or who scores. Right? And I thought, I need to connect you to another person who can actually make this happen. So I did. And it was so many months later, and I thought, who knows and many months later, that man and his family came, and they were at Acharya Maharaj, where his old office was, at the front gate, the original front gate. And they were there, and they donated that temple and the seva of those deities, and it was another Gopinath, and it was, again, just something that Srila Acharya Maharaj made happen, because he is that type of servitor. It enters his seva circle and then becomes realized. So, and we saw additionally, particularly in Birachandrapur, Ekachakra, where Nitai Bari, the house of Nityananda Prabhu is, the place where Srila Guru Maharaj went to, when he got realized he's not going to retire in Uddhav Kyari and Vrindavan or Kadam Kandi, and neither the Gangbhir and Puri, and he realizes, we're told, the non-liberated should seek their fortune in Navadvip Dham. we don't think of Guru Maharaj as non-liberated, but he's humbly moving along those lines. And Nityananda Prabhu is the Dhameshwar, the visa-granting officer for Navadip Dham. So Guru Maharaj is thinking, I should go to Ekachakra, Birachandrapur, and there make my submission to the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu, that you are Patita Pavana, please give me shelter. Yeah. And that's when he does Shastanga Dandavats before the deity of Nitai, that beautiful, that Gurudev told me in the final days in his veranda, because out of the corner of my eye, I thought it was Vishnu Priya's Mahaprabhu deity. And he goes, no, Maharaj, he said, I am telling you, you will never see a more beautiful Nityananda Prabhu than this deity. And I started looking at the deity with, say, new eyes and astonished look on my face, and Gurudev said, no, Maharaj, I'm telling you. As if I was, not fully appreciating. He said, I'm telling you, you will never see a more beautiful Nityananda than this deity. And that's the deity that Guru Maharaj gave Shastanga Dandavats before and prayed for entrance in the Navadip Dham. So, a critical moment for the establishment of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mahat. And the inspiration came to Guru Maharaj, but you do not give Patita shelter. Meaning, Guru Maharaj was hesitating to initiate. Srila Prabhupada's Swami Maharaj's sister, Bhavatarani Didi, Pishima, asked him, he sent her to Goswami Maharaj. Others, he's deferring. So, that's one, and there are other reasons. But this is one where the idea of you begin giving shelter to the fallen souls, accepting disciples, and that'll be your ticket to entrance and to Navadip Dham. So in that place, where that deity that Gurudev himself said, you'll never see a more beautiful Nityananda. So near there, Srila Acharya Maharaj establishes this temple of Gaur and Nityananda. Right? And if you've seen them, they're like 2 meters tall, they're unbelievably beautiful and extraordinary. And the reason I'm saying this in this way is the following. So at the Nitai Bari, generally they do not look kindly upon other groups or institutions establishing temples in that area. And they're this kind of, this is the original, this is it, come here for this, and it's hard to get their approval, you can say. But when Srila Acharya Maharaj established the Gaur and Nityananda deities there, they came and they said, these deities are so beautiful. And they accepted them and gave their heartfelt approval and appreciation. That level. I mean, that was like something impossible to do. They don't normally do things like that. So, he did so many astonishing things that many times when he would come to the veranda of Srila Gurudev, and I was there, and we find out one more astonishing thing he's done. So his name is Acharya Maharaj. I would say to Gurudev, Ascharya Maharaj. And Gurudev would smile and, yes, Ascharya means astonishing. Right? So Ascharya Maharaj. He's done one more astonishing thing. And after the disappearance of Srila Gurudev, we know he said the next Acharya of this mat is Srila Acharya Maharaj. He's the one whose service outshines all others. And one thing I don't think you could predict that would happen was Tarakeshwar, because it's not so famous in the minds of devotees. But it's very significant because he established a temple there. That is the town where Bhaktivinod Thakur had his vision of Mayapur. It was not, he had more visions than Krishnanagar and other, but it's there. And he writes in his autobiography that Krishna appears, because Bhaktivinod Thakur, I mean, we tell these stories in particular ways, but it's much more fluid and unpredictable than we might have thought. Krishna appears to him, or Mahaprabhu, and says, he says, the Lord appeared. And he says, so you're thinking of going to Vrindavan? Because Bhaktivinod Thakur is saying, what should I do in my final days? Maybe I'll go to Vrindavan and do bhajan there, or he has different, and so you're thinking of going to Vrindavan? What about your Navadvip program? Weren't you going to build something there? And then he has this vision of the spiritual city. So it's in Tarakeshwar that Bhaktivinod Thakur had these visions, and then he goes on to Krishna Nagar and discovers Mahaprabhu's birthplace, publishes Navadvip Dham Mahatmyam, etc. And one thing that's maybe not so well known, and is well known, as Acharya Maharaj's sense of humor, which I thought was very funny. There's a verse in the Bhagavatam that says, if you execute your swadharma perfectly for 100 lifetimes, you achieve the position of Brahma. And beyond that, Shivata, a Shiva-like position. But anyway, so 100 lifetimes perfectly, you become Brahma. And Acharya Maharaj said, and if you do for 100 lifetimes in a faulty way, they make you the manager of a mott. That, is a little example of his wry sense of humor. You can say reality-based humor. But he is willing to take all those, in the line of Bhaktivinod Thakur, whatever, he says, whatever inconvenience might be associated with seva, that's my happiness. We've all seen the pictures of Acharya Maharaj with the little umbrella when he builds Bamunpara. Remember, he's there going on those roads that are just impossible and overseeing out in the hot midday sun construction. There's not even a fan or anything. Very grueling type physical demanding seva upon someone. Another thing that may not be known so well is he is an expert cook. So once when he was kind of, what shall we say, when the Pandavas were in exile, and he's on Park Street. So Sripad Bhakti Vigraha Nyasi Maharaj and we went to visit him. And it might have been this day or some special day, but we were expecting to take prasadam with him, but we weren't expecting that he would cook everything. And he made like more than a dozen preparations. And they were all like amazing. I'm serious. They were just wonderful. And we were very surprised. And he served everything and very humbly served the two of us. So in so many ways he showed his superior qualifications and got the love and affection of Srila Gurudev, and Gurudev saw him as the fit person to succeed him as the president Sevite Acharya of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. So I know that you probably know him better than most, and if you could say a few words in praise of Srila Acharya Dev. Yes, with a mic.
most of my experience and exchange with Srila Acharya Maharaj was when he first joined the Mott. It was about 1993, and I was there a little before him. And it was this very significant passerby, passing by, just wandering into the Mott. This little young man with a baby face coming in and seeing that there's no security guard here. I just walked in, nobody's asking me anything, I could come and steal everything here. So he paid his dandavats and he sat down and gave guard at the gate.
So when we finish, you can sing Shri Guru
Then little by little, guarding and taking care of the gate, he noticed all kitchen needs and ingredients arranged with the rickshaws from the gate, guarding the gate. And he started saying some of the devotees, Thakur Rama Krishna, especially on the occasion when Damodar Maharaj was so sick and needed medicine.
Yes.
And in the middle of the night, 2 or 3 a.m., 1, 2, 3 a.m., Damodar Maharaj was having a health episode. They needed some particular medicine from the pharmacy, but the pharmacy was closed. So he goes himself to find the house of the pharmacist, wake him up, and ask him to open his shop to sell the necessary medicine for Damodar Maharaj, and supplying Damodar Maharaj with the medicine he needed just in time. And just little by little, he's like excelling in service, doing the needful to the extreme, where eventually Gurudev just put him in charge of everything.
Yes.
And said, who can play football? The ball will go to their feet. And we saw that with Srila Acharya Maharaj, that he knew what he was doing, he knew what was necessary, he knew how to obtain everything that was necessary, supply, and to serve, doing the needful for service. And so that was his outstanding qualification that Gurudev appreciated so much, and took away so much headache from the management, from Srila Gurudev. He just felt like, I can travel, I can leave and not be worried about the Math. He can take care of everything and everybody. And how many times traveled the world knowing that Acharya Maharaj was there. 23 world tours, 24 world tours, Madhusudana Maharaj can say. But we saw such hard-working seva. Hard, sleepless labor of love. All the Vaishnavas. And I've had my share of opportunities to travel with the Acharya Maharaj and to go to some of these temple village excursions, going to Calcutta and signing papers and spending a whole day. More like legal stuff, helping him especially in troubled times. Going to Calcutta in the morning, meeting lawyers and signing papers and running all over the city. Then
and he still sang songs for 3 hours.
Stop in Ekachakra, take care of a few things, go to crops fields. We went to like 6 places on the way home, and I was finished. Said good night. Said, well, now it's the evening program. So 6 songs later, a whole class. 11 o'clock at night, I was taking prasadam, waking up at 3 and doing it all again.
Right, sometime on the Gaur Purnima time, you hear it like 2:45 a.m. on the loudspeaker. Acharya Maharaj, "Good morning, pilgrims." And I think, like, when did he sleep? He was doing the program till 10. You know.
I always say, we remember Acharya Maharaj, think about him, praise him, and we'll never be lazy.
Yeah.
We can get that from him. See his example. Hard working seva for.
Remember, he had the operation, and within 4 or 5 hours after a serious operation, he's back in the saddle, going on the seva.
So much to appreciate about Acharya Maharaj, and this day here in the world. We're so glad he stumbled upon the front gates of Mott,
Yes.
came like he did, and he's my forever brother and friend and service. Nirmal Acharya Maharaj.
Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj, Avirbhav Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Prananande. Hare Krishna.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma
Bhagavui Sabadano Mate
Srila Acharya Maharaj Avirbha Mahamahotvati ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande. Jai Vishnu Bhadra Mahanta Parivadika Acharya. Asitars of the Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Kunda Govinda Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Vishnu Bhadra Bhakti Vakta Sridhar Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Jai Saparivar Sri Sri Gauranga Radha Govinda Sundar ki jai. Sri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. Sri Bhupanu Guru Bhargava ki jai. Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinod ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopavina Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Dham ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati ki jai. Sri Gupta Govardhan ki jai. Ganga Devi, Jumani Devi, Bhakti Devi, Kosi Devi ki jai. Om Vishnu Padvishpava Venushtava Esi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Maharaj Vrinda ki jai. Jai Srila Bhaktivinod Maharaj ki jai. Sannyasi Vrinda ki jai. Seva Vrinda ki jai. Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi ki jai. Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda ki jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Avirbhav Mahamahotavati ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande. Hare Krishna. Anjali and Vilas Prabhu Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Darya Dandavat, Das Anudas. All the Das Anudasas of the world, Dandavats, Praneshwari Didi, doing Espanol translation, Dandavat, Nityananda Das, doing the Russian translation, Dandavat, Sulakshana Didi, doing Chinese translation, Dandavat, Vaishnava Das, Dandavat, Rasananda Prabhu in Ukraine, Dandavat, Sripad Bhakti Sevan, Rishikesh Maharaj, and the Abhazya Bhakti Vrinda, Dandavat, Julie in Kazakhstan, Dandavat, Malini Didi in Orsk, Dandavat, Sakshi Gopal, Ukraine, Dandavat, Ajita, no fixed residence, Krishna Prabhu. Dhanyavad. Lakshmi Priya Didi in Ukraine, Dhanyavad. Gaur Chandru Prabhu in Nadhodka. Dhanyavad. Dhananjaya Prabhu, Dhanyavad. Madhavi Lata Didi, Dhanyavad. Anjali Didi in Ukraine, Dhanyavad. Leela Sundar Prabhu in Ukraine, Dhanyavad. Kalindi Priya Didi in China, Dhanyavad. Rasananda Prabhu in Sochi, Dhanyavad. Oh, Lilavati Didi in Australia, Dhanyavad. No, where is he? Anyway, wherever you are, Dhanyavad. Where? I see. Wait. Yudhisthira Das Dhanyavad, Jivana Didi Dhanyavad, Achyutananda Prabhu Dhanyavad, Krishna Mohini Didi Dhanyavad, Dial Gaur Prabhu Dhanyavad, Krishna Chaitanya Das Dhanyavad, Pavel Brun in Moscow Dhanyavad, Suresh Krishna Prabhu Dhanyavad. Oh, I see. There's Krishna Priyananda Didi and her mother Dhanyavad. I assume they're in Lakta at the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru Radha Madhava Sundar Ju. Oh, there it is. Lakta, all the Lakta Bhakta Vrinda, Dhanyavad. Aviram Pandit, Dhanyavad. Senia, Dhanyavad. Rasananda Prabhu in Ukraine, Dhanyavad. Divya Shakti Didi, Dhanyavad. Yelena, Dhanyavad. Sankarshan is here, Dhanyavad. Bhagavan Prabhu, Dhanyavad. Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj, Avirbhav Mahamahutsa Ki Jai. Nadia Priya Didi in Ukraine, Dhanyavad. Is that everyone? Right. Vanchakava Tribhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.